keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs. These are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast. Boom. What is up, everybody? I was waiting to see if Rob was going to start dancing. What's up, everybody? This is Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Robin. I'm keeping it real.
Hey, and we are on episode 113.
Hot damn.
Trudging through the hundreds. And thank you to everybody that's already here in the chat. We'll kick it off and just say hello to everybody. Hello, all at once. All of you people. Hello. Thank you for being here. As always, guys, you know the deal. We're gonna highlight super chats. If you want to throw a super chat in the mix, whatever we make from super chats today is going to go right to USARK. So please feel free to do that if you feel wonderfully generous enough to do so. We are, of course, I got some messages. People wanted to know if we were going to do some myth busting with Phil today on busting some USARK myths. We are 100% going to be doing that. Definitely going to be doing that. I'm very excited. And guys, please do me a favor and just share this video if you can. We always want to get as many people in here as possible to hear everything that they need to hear regarding USARK and what is going on all across the country from the man himself. It doesn't get any better than getting it right from Phil, because there's a lot of people that think they know a lot of things that don't really know anything. And Phil won't come out. Phil won't come out and say it, but I'll say it. They don't know shit. So, oh man! But before we bring Phil on, Rob, how are you doing, man? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. It's been a hectic couple of weeks, but done a little bit of herping. Probably got to do a little bit more this next couple weeks, but I'm feeling pretty good. Scrub python eggs are a month in, so
Yes.
I'm trying to ignore them and pretend that they don't exist. Baby corn snakes just had their first meals, so everybody's doing good there. And I only had one that refused, but everybody else was like, they went right for it.
Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. I'm here.
How about you?
Man.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Also been kind of a little hectic and chaotic. Certainly not sleeping as much as I need to right now, but I'm happy because next week I pretty much am like off the whole week for next week, except actually no, even next weekend, which is nice because I've had some travel changes, so I actually get the week pretty much off. So just be doing some reptile stuff. Got some horns to track, and yeah, that's about that. And then Daytona. Are you doing Daytona, Rob?
Probably not. No, just the money ain't there this year, so maybe next year.
That's fair. I will get a Rob cardboard cutout that we can bring around.
Please throw it in the ocean. Like take it out of the ocean, but also let me swim with sharks at midnight.
I will just give it to Matt Bowers.
Yes.
Just say at midnight, just say, do what you want.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Well, maybe not do what you want, but
Bob's balls.
Oh no. Oh God.
Bob
did,
get...
Bob, yes. Bob did post that picture in that onesie.
The onesie, yeah, buddy.
That tuxedo onesie. Them quads were quadding. Oh gosh. All right. There's a couple people that are here. Matt Baranek is here from Sassabeck. Hey. Yeah, Daytona can't wait. Heck yeah. Randy is here.
Dude,
what's up? My partner Sam Priest is here.
Hey.
Yes, thank you to everybody that's in the chat. Again, please, like I said, please share this video. We always want as many people as possible to hear in real time what we've got going on with Phil. So speaking of that, saying that, let's get the man in here. He looks like he's texting. I saw him looking down as he's sending an SOS. He's like, God, what's up, dude?
No texting. I'm totally focused. Actually, I was having flashbacks of Rob's boxers that he's in right now. I think that's what it
They're
looked like.
they're actually swim trunks, believe it or not. I'm becoming the weird shorts guy now, I guess, because I've got these rubber ducky ones that I love, and
Nice.
then Kristen's friend got me these ones. I'm gonna show them. They're not underwear, YouTube. They're swim trunks. But I got these tiger ones.
Yeah.
Tight.
Nice.
So I've been on the hunt for weird shorts so I can wear outlandish shorts all the time.
I'm here for it. I'm also here for Phil wearing those for the next USARK auction.
Oh my god. Not happening. Not happening.
Unfortunately, about as weird as I can get it, Reptile shows his weird socks.
Hey,
Okay.
that's what
All
that
right.
too. Yeah, I'm here for it.
I'm not nearly as cool as Rob.
I don't think any of us are, dude.
I,
I'm certainly not pulling off rubber ducky shorts.
Right.
Now that I'm saying this, my partner's probably going to go get me some.
Oh hell yeah! Oh hell yeah!
Oh gosh. Okay, so let's jump right
Let's get into it.
Phil.
Yeah, let's for real.
What's going on? So we know we've got the Leisy Act amendment proposals are back on the board, and now we've got a companion bill that's come up. So can we talk about that?
Yeah, so real short story on that. So a companion bill is just when you have the same language in a bill in both the Senate and the House. So that's explains that. So yeah, we had S1614 from Rubio, which we kind of expected. It doesn't really seem to be a priority for his office, so that's good. But now we've got, what is it, H4922 from Representative Luna down in Florida. That one does have some co-sponsors, but it's not a lot of co-sponsors. I mean, sometimes we'll see House bills because there's way more representatives than there are senators. I mean, you may have a House bill that has 50 or 100 co-sponsors on it. This one has 6 total. That's counting Luna. So 6 total legislators on that bill. So, and 4 of them are from Florida, 1 from Texas, 1 from Alabama. So when we have a push on this, obviously one of the main talking points is going to be, this is totally unfair to everybody else in the country because Florida is using federal tax dollars for a Florida issue. And that's one of the things that everybody, if you're in California or Montana or Massachusetts, wherever you are, you got to tell your legislator, this bill is totally unfair because the tax money, my federal taxes are just going to all be shipped down to Florida. And that's not cool.
Right.
So that'd definitely be one of the big talking points and pushes.
Heck yeah. Yeah. So so where are we at right now as far as what can people be doing? Are we just contacting lawmakers and senators and just being like, hey, don't.
Yeah, right now all we want, so it's all spelled out in the USARK alert, but we really just want if one of those 7 legislators is your legislator. So this applies. Everyone in Florida can contact Senator Rubio's office. And then if you're one of those, the 6 representatives on H4922, which we kind of have a city and regional area behind all their names on our alert. So it'll say, if you're from Texas, it says where that rep's from. If you're from Representative Luna is like the Clearwater area of Texas. So anyway, we say about where it's from. We have just click it and it'll take you to their website where you type in your zip code. So it'll verify that you're actually their constituent. And then you can send them an email. You can just copy the USARK one and send it. And it takes whatever, 1 minute or less.
So I always point this out, but I think it's always necessary too. So Phil, you're telling me that USARK has done all of the work for us, and it's literally just as simple as copy paste.
All the work. And here's something some people don't get. I know I talked to someone about this actually it was just this year, but I couldn't grasp how they didn't understand it. But the reason we put out those alerts is because we need people to send emails or make phone calls or whatever we're asking you to do. That's why we do it. We don't just put them out there for I'm just going to say it. I'm on your podcast. I think it's okay. We don't just do it for shits and giggles, people.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, you can definitely say that.
It's not just something to occupy my time and put this out there and say, I'm just going to put this out there, but I don't really want anybody to do anything. But so all these legislators, you have to work your way up their radar. So, if we have 10 people who email Representative Luna, it's not going to make an impact. If we get 500 or maybe 1,000, that's when she's going to take notice and she's going to say, hey, maybe this wasn't such a good idea to introduce this. But you can't just have a handful of people do this stuff because one, that's how it gets on their radar and they realize they may have messed up, or that's how they want to talk to USARK. So if I go to DC and I want to meet with Representative Luna and I tell her it's about H4922, she's probably not going to want to hear from me. But if she's heard from 1,000 of her constituents, then she's going to want to take that meeting and she's going to have an open ear. And that's the important of it. It's like our foot in the door. So all those emails or mailed letters or faxes or phone calls or whatever you're doing, that is USARK's foot in the door so that we can get an actual true legitimate ear of legislators.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that in order for us to start making some headway, you really need to talk to these people in person. A lot of the times they need to see that there's somebody there who cares about this, because a lot of these people, they they might take into account the emails, but if they are going to they see all the emails and then they also get followed up with someone in person, they go, oh, not only are there people who care about this, they've also sent someone specifically to talk to me about this. This guy must know what he's talking about. And then you can get in there and give them your, USARK's ideas of what, this is a mistake. This is not what you guys are supposed to be doing right now, for real.
Absolutely. And anybody can do that. A lot of people are afraid to go see their legislators, which especially right now, obviously it costs a lot of money to go to DC. But you also have to remember that all of those federal legislators also have local offices. So again, if you go to their websites, it will actually have their local office. So obviously, especially for representatives, which have really small regions, if you look them up, you can't make a trip to DC from Florida, just go to the local office and visit the staff for that legislator and let them know your thoughts. And again, they get paid to listen to you. So go in, obviously be civil and professional. It's not going to do us any good if you go in and call them names or curse at them or swear at them. But again, we've got so many, I don't even know, like 20 or 25 talking points. So again, we have all the information there for you. Just go in, basically you just want to say, I oppose this. Here's a couple reasons why. And that's all it has to be.
It can't just be that simple, though. Is it really that simple?
It really is. But again, it's got to be more than one person doing it. So if it's just me, obviously that doesn't work. And another reason it doesn't work for these legislators to just hear from me is because I'm not a constituent of most of the legislators. I can go in and I can say, USARK has whatever 200,000 supporters and members. Especially if you include everybody on our email list and everything, it's quite a bit. But why are they going to believe that big of a number if they haven't heard from any of them?
Yeah,
it's like I'm just going in there and making stuff up. So,
yeah, I mean that does seem to work in politics. I'm just saying.
So generally speaking, obviously, I'm not going to say every politician because I haven't talked to everyone, but generally, what they're looking at is they either want people who are going to donate money, or they want to be reelected. And the way you get reelected is from votes. So if these legislators are hearing that 1,000 of their constituents are totally upset with something they did, they're going to say, whoa, I better change my tactics here. I'm not going to get reelected.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also important to note that, when it comes to this stuff, like the job of these people is to be writing laws and like getting legislation passed to show, they've got to be doing something, so again, going back to, if you're going to meet with these people or when you get the chance to talk to them, be civil, be professional, because they're literally just doing their job, and the other fact of the matter is, with everything that they do have on their plate, they can't be well educated on every single thing that comes in front of their desk. That's impossible to assume, so think about everything that senators are dealing with right now. You really think any one of those guys or girls is going there like, yeah, I know everything about the reptile industry? Like, we're so low on that totem pole, so being able to approach it in a professional, civil manner is so important, because they're literally just trying to do their job. And that's where we come in to say, like, hey, look, I understand that, but you're not getting all of the right facts. And here's the real information behind it.
Yeah. And it's not just that. I forget who it was. There was a representative last year during the Competes Act, which is how most people became familiar with this Leisy Act stuff. But that, the Competes Act, I think it was 2,810 pages as it was introduced. I mean, it was huge. It was pushing 3,000 pages. And there was a representative who went on there, which, a lot of legislators are hopping all over social media now, I think it was a YouTube video. She was saying, she's like, I know that most of my fellow legislators have not read this 3,000-page bill. She was calling out her own legislators in DC. She's like, and she held it up. She's like, I read every page of this. I highlighted things where I thought there were problems. But I mean, that was a legislator calling out her own other legislators and saying most legislators don't read all the legislation that comes to them. So yeah, you nailed it, Jeremy. I mean, it's not just knowing about the reptile industry. They may not even know what a bill says.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they need Cliff Notes.
And that's where it's important for staff. So some people may get upset. They're like, oh, I made an appointment with our representative, but I just saw this staff person. But staff is who feeds the legislators, because I mean, legislators generally, I mean, they're basically full-time campaigners. I mean, that's really, I mean, there may be a few weeks they can focus on legislation, but other than that, they're trying to get reelected. So that's when staff has to tell them, hey, we had all these meetings and they're not happy about this. So
yeah, it does matter. It definitely
Absolutely.
does matter. Yeah. So, and I think one of the other things to point out too, is a lot of people get intimidated, when you think about going into the elected official's office. And, the reality is, like, as you stated, like they work for us, like we're the ones that put them in that position. So we have that right, that ability to go speak to them. And the reality is, it doesn't matter how nice that suit is.
That's a double-edged sword. Sorry, you froze up. I'm not sure.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
That's a double-edged sword. I mean, that's the mentality you have to have, but you don't want to tell them that when you go in. You don't want to sit down and say, hey, I pay your salaries. Listen to me.
Yeah.
Do that. That's not a good way to kick things off. But the reason I point that out is because that helps a lot of people get over that hurdle where they're more comfortable to go in and speak with them. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot. Oftentimes, like, if you do get the chance to speak with the lawmaker in person versus a staff member, like, they're just a regular person. Their job is equally as stressful and chaotic, and they want to make sure that, as we've just been saying, like, that their constituents are happy because they want to be reelected. So being able to voice that opinion is incredibly impactful and goes a long way, be it in person, by a bunch of emails or phone calls. And also, I think it's important to note, you can call and email more than once.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Absolutely. Especially right now, because like I said, we only want those 7 legislators that are listed in the alert to be contacted right now. So email them now if you're one of those people. But then when we ask everybody across the country to start doing it, then do it again and get your brother or sister or wife or kids or step relatives or whoever to do the same thing, even if you got friends and family. So even if one of those 7 legislators is not your representative, you can still do things like you can post on social media and say, who do I know who's in this area? And then ask them to, like, post a screenshot or something after they send an email. You can ask for people to do it, or just tag some people who you think may be in that area and say, hey, have you sent an email, or what have you done?
Right. Absolutely. I just want to take a quick pause to give a shout out to our show sponsor, Black Box Cages and Racks. They're in the house checking this out. What's up, guys? Yeah, no, this is absolutely. There's so much that we can do as the grassroots level for USARK. And I think one of the things that gets overlooked a bit too is we talk about sharing the alerts and everything like that. Like, obviously that goes a long way, because more people are going to see that, especially if you're posting to your story versus your page. But also important to note that you still need to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
Sharing it is great.
Yep.
But sharing it is great, but make sure you just say, like, hey, read this. It's important, please, otherwise it's just like, okay, USARK posted another thing that we have, that we have to deal with. And, of course we never want to see any alert pop up, but it's inevitable. So when it does, just take the time to read it, and pay attention to it.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to bring up is that, when I think it was HR 669 was going on, I had reached out to my representative, and when I had called their office, it went to voicemail. And I actually left them a voicemail. I was like, hey, look, I'm very concerned about this bill. If you can call me back, this is my number. And I was just expecting like nothing to happen. And then I think it was 2 or 3 days later, the office actually reached back out to me and they were like, hey, we heard your voicemail. We just wanted to reach out to you, see if we can get a little bit more information. And so I sat down and talked with them for another maybe 5 or 10 minutes and just really laid out what information I knew and what I was able to pass on to them. And they're like, thank you. We appreciate your information. So I know that a lot of people are kind of nervous about talking on the phone, which can be a thing. Call them outside of regular business hours, get their voicemail, leave them a voicemail. Just make sure that you're putting that information out there. You don't always have to talk to a person. I mean, like you're saying, emails work great. If you're nervous about talking on the phone, leave them a voicemail. Almost all those offices have a voicemail service where they will record, and you can leave your number if you'd like to actually talk to them. And sometimes they will reach out to you. I know that with the volume of things going on in Florida, I'm sure that those guys are drowning in calls about lots of other things as well. But being able to at least call, leave it a little bit of information. And if you are comfortable with leaving your number, hey, I'm a constituent, please reach back out to me. I would love to give you more information. That is a great alternative way for people to get their foot in the door, so to speak,
Yeah, and it can be super short. I mean, you nailed it, Rob. It can be as simple as I'm your constituent. I'm opposed to H4922.
Yeah.
Maybe leave your city and state or zip code so they know that you're a constituent, but it can be that short.
Yes. Yeah. And they do take it seriously. Like I said, I got reached back out to about that. And then when New Hampshire's thing was happening, I had someone call me back too after I had left a voicemail there because I was working weird hours and I wasn't able to call them during the daytime. But they did reach back out to me as well to at least mention that they had received my voicemail. They do take it seriously. If I have more information or more things I'd like to say, they would hear it out. So it's a good opportunity for people if they're not comfortable talking on the phone or whatever, just call them. Hey, I'm a constituent. Leave a little bit of information, and it does go a long way. Believe it or not, those voicemails and those phone calls do take, in my opinion, take a little bit more precedent than some of the emails that they get. And if they get a whole bunch of people calling, leaving voicemails, and their voicemail box is filled up with 100 messages, and they're going, okay, next voicemail message, hey, we're opposed to this. Next voicemail message, it does get the message across to some of these people.
Absolutely. And quickly, I'll cover the three things that this does. So these bills would make it illegal to transport a species listed as injurious across state lines. So currently that applies to 201 species of salamanders.
I was just going to say that.
Reticulated python. So this has nothing to do with size. If a species is listed as injurious, you cannot take it across state lines for any reason. So if you have a retic, you do educational programs, can't go across state lines. If you have a berm and your veterinarian is across state line, you can't take the veterinarian. Again, for any reason, this is not just sales, so it's any reason. The second thing it would create an import whitelist. So if the species is not on that whitelist, it cannot be imported into the U.S. And even worse than that, we really worry that whitelist, a lot of states would copy it and say only species on this whitelist can be kept in this state. That's almost a bigger concern than the import whitelist. And the third thing it would do is it would give FWS overnight emergency listing designation. So if they listed ball pythons as injurious, it could literally be illegal the next day to move them across state lines.
And a lot of people will think, oh, we'll never have a ball pythons. It's like they have already started doing surveys to see the potential invasiveness of a lot of different species in Florida. And with Florida's involvement in all of this, it's a very real possibility that a lot of us, you might not want to think about it, but it is a real thing that could happen. And with the salamanders thing, I believe firebelly toads and firebelly newts, redback salamanders are on there. Your native redback salamanders.
Yeah, there's native salamanders on
there.
there.
Native salamanders on there. So literally your kid, you go on vacation, you've got a pet salamander you brought, it's now illegal for you to do that.
Yep.
It's absolutely ridiculous. Like absolutely Madness. Wild that they could make this listing change so rapidly,
And the animal rights groups want this list to be huge. So a lot of people don't know, our friends at the Humane Society of the United States. So this was 2007, I believe. They actually wanted all boas and all pythons and all
Yes.
anacondas to be listed as injurious. So
Uh-huh.
people think this is a big snake thing, but they wanted ball pythons listed as injurious. They wanted sand boas listed as injurious, carpet pythons, amethystine. I mean, everything, every python. Children's pythons, this has nothing to do with size. We're talking about the little tiny anthill pythons. I mean, from small to large. Again, it was every species of python, boa, and not boa constrictor. This was anything with the common name boa and all anacondas. So HSUS was pushing for that hard. And like Rob said, unfortunately, the Leisy Act for the injurious listing, it doesn't say that it has to be able to establish in like a third of the U.S. If it could only establish in southern Florida or possibly maybe even in just Hawaii, it could be listed as injurious, and that affects everybody. Well, if these bills pass, that would affect everybody across the country.
Yeah, exactly. And you were just saying that they were pushing for all pythons and boas to be banned. That is exactly what we saw. Rhode Island copied and pasted that and proposed that back then, because I remember that was one of the meetings that I went to was in Providence to go sit in and try. And we had 40 people show up and they were like, what are you guys all here for?
Nice.
And we were like, oh, you guys are trying to ban pythons and boas. They're like, all of you in the back over there, you too? And they're like, yes, all of these people are here for that. They walked inside for a minute, came back out. Yeah, that's getting tabled. That's not a thing anymore. And we all left. But that's literally, like you were just saying, something federally like this, or something that gets adopted in one place, a lot of other states are just going to copy and paste. It doesn't matter whether it is like applicable to invasiveness or dangerous to crops or any of that sort of stuff. They see it happen one place and they go, oh, this place is adopting something like that. We're looking to get reelected. We need to pass some legislation. This is an easy slam dunk. Nobody's going to say no to this. People think snakes are creepy. This is something that they think is going to be super easy. So we do have to pay attention and show up for this, because if it does happen, here, it very realistically can happen someplace else as well.
Yeah. And that's Representative Luna. She's new to Congress. So we don't know if it's a priority for her yet. It could just be that. So she obviously didn't write this legislation. It's been floating around for years already. So it may just be that, that was a bill that she wanted to put out there. And so her name gets out there because, again, that's how politics kind of works. The more your name is talked about, then you're obviously going to get reelected. What was that? It's an Eddie Murphy movie, right? Where he had the same name as a politician who died. And then he ran a campaign and he got elected just because he had the same name of this politician who died.
Bruh.
So, I mean, again, some people, they're like, oh, I voted for this guy. I have no idea why, but that's who I've been voting for the last 10 years. So they just
his name. I just keep seeing his name, man. I just keep seeing the name.
Hearing it. So must be doing something right because people are talking about him.
Oof.
Bruh. Wow. That is.
It's interesting how politics works. Let's just say that. Oh gosh. So Phil, outside of this Leisy Act stuff, what else is going on?
We were kind of keying up. We were going to really start pushing some Endangered Species Act reforms. Now, obviously, depending on if this Leisy Act stuff gets traction, we may have to backtrack that again. But man, we've been working on that this is the 4th session of Congress now. So for those not familiar, if a non-native species gets listed as threatened or endangered under the Endangered Species Act, it's illegal to sell it across state lines unless you get one of these captive bred wildlife permits, which FWS doesn't give to private parties anymore. So some really cool species are listed under ESA. Radiated tortoises. They just listed Egyptian tortoises, which kind of stinks because that's a really awesome, really small species, makes a great pet choice. But again, now you can only sell those animals within your state. So we're trying to work to make it so it's either easier to sell non-natives across state lines, or that the Endangered Species Act itself doesn't apply to non-native species. Because it's crazy. I wish there was an easy way to find out, but I'm sure it's tens of millions of dollars that we pay in taxes every year that are going to these non-native endangered species listings and petitions and reviews, but we can't do anything to help the Egyptian tortoise in its native range. I mean, why is I mean, I understand it's an endangered species, but for us to list it under RESA and then make sales across state lines illegal does nothing to help those wild populations of those animals. We haven't imported wild Egyptian tortoises for over 20 years. It's not like we're taking them out of the wild for pets. We don't have to do that. We're breeding them here, but it just really doesn't work. And that's tens of millions of dollars that could be spent on our native endangered species.
Mm-hmm. So. That's like the Pulsalitharia, the tarantulas that got listed. They're like, oh, these tarantulas are very endangered in the wild, and so they're going to ESA list them. Exactly. And then we're breeding them very well in the United States. And then they're like, oh, you can't transport across state lines. And it's just like, it didn't completely halt breeding, but let me tell you, it put a major dent in U.S. breeding of a lot of those species, which is like counterintuitive. You'd think that if you were going to want more of this endangered species on the planet, you would want people breeding them. But
I know. And how is that not conservation? If there are 500 Egyptian tortoises in the wild, and that's all that's left, and we can produce 5,000 of them by breeding them under human care, how is that not conservation? I mean, I understand a lot of people have the mentality that, it's not helping the wild population, but we're still conserving that species. It may not be ideal that we have to keep them, as pets or to breed and sell. But if that's the only way to keep a species around, what is wrong with that? The alternative is we totally lose Egyptian tortoises, and in 20 years people don't know what they are, which it would just be a shame. And that's just going to keep getting worse and worse because we keep making more and more people and destroying more and more habitat. So, I mean, it's not going to happen in 10 years, but in 30 years, almost everything could be listed as an endangered species. Yeah.
That's a little disappointing.
Happiness. Let's bring Phil on it. Make everybody start drinking.
Woo-hoo! It's every time you feel an ounce of depression when Phil's on, just take a shot. It's okay. It gets better. Oh gosh. That's ridiculous. But this is all important stuff to be aware of. And I think when it comes to everything, that USARK is involved in, I think we've discussed this before. Like once you get past a certain level, it's like the majority of people just kind of glaze over and they're like, I don't want to feel like I'm back in a classroom or in economics or in my government appreciation class. And it's like, I get it. It's probably not the most enthralling subject in the world, but it's really important to know about. And especially as reptile keepers, reptile lovers, like it's kind of our responsibility to be as educated as possible, especially if it's a species that you work with, like knowing just all of the facts from Google search results page 1, is not necessarily doing all that great for you.
Right.
Like just dive in and do a little bit more research, or, just go to usark.org and, read for a little bit. That'll help you out too.
Yeah. Or send an email. And, I know a lot of people don't follow USARK, especially if we don't have an alert in their state, but I don't remember the last time a state bill passed that we were fighting. I mean, it's been a while, and there may only been one or two in the last 10 years. I mean, we're usually able to stop them. And sometimes it doesn't take a whole lot. New Mexico, for example, this year had one of those, we call them animal program bans. So every non-native species, you could not have taken it and given a free talk to a classroom or in a public library. But at that hearing, it was only myself and one reptile person who showed up to oppose it. And that made the committee ask enough questions that they tabled it. It did come back again and had another hearing, but it was two of us who spoke up and were able to stop that. And it's great when you get 40, like Rob said, or I think both of you were there when in Boston and Massachusetts they tried to pass that traveling animal act. Well, we had 100+ people, I think, at that one. It's great when you get that many, but somebody has to show up. So in the lobbying world, there's a common phrase that the world is run by those who show up. So if only the animal rights groups show up, that stuff passes left and right all day long. I mean, this is how bad it is. I have actually heard animal rights groups tell legislators, we're going to switch gears on species now, but they have told decision makers, especially at the city level, that substandard dog breeders breed their female dogs 5 and 6 times a year. That's biologically and physiologically impossible, but they tell them that. And I have heard, I was actually at a hearing where a city council member regurgitated that and said,
Wow.
one of the groups who are supporting this come in and told me that these breeders breed their female dogs 5 and 6 times a year. How can you think that that's okay? And but again, because no one went in and informed that city council member, he just believed what this animal rights group told him. So imagine if USARK and stakeholders don't show up. Imagine what the animal rights groups are telling them. Obviously, they have no problem with absolutely lying. And then sometimes we get total crap like that python study done by USGS that said Burmese pythons can live in Maryland. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm just saying, if they do, I'm gonna go for a swim in the great state of Florida. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. If Burmese pythons are living in Maryland, you're not gonna be here to see it, so
No.
you don't have to worry about it.
For real.
And I tell you,
and
Maine, you
that's
were there for that one, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Maine, yep.
In Maine, they
Maine was worried
regurgitated
about global
that.
warming and Burmese pythons becoming invasive in Maine. My
Yep.
goodness.
Yep.
That was said on public record. That's like,
Yeah.
that's embarrassing for them. Like, that's really embarrassing that they would say something like that.
Oh, goodness, people.
It's really interesting. Like I have to wonder, like, who makes the shit up? Like,
I mean, that is
like
just,
really.
That's madness. And I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but USGS finally, so what is it? Geez, over a decade later, they actually redid their science on Burmese pythons. So they actually have a new map now. If you just Google USGS Burmese python, it should come up. I think it's called a USGS species profile. I still don't think it's accurate, but it claims most of Florida, one tiny little sliver in Georgia, and one tiny little spot in Louisiana. That's all they claim could possibly be a climate match for the Burmese python now. So I think they even took out the Brownsville area, Texas. They took out all that lower third of the U.S. So at least it's close. One of the major flaws with those science, those climate matches like that, they don't account for the low temperature. All they look at is the median temperature, and that doesn't apply to reptiles. If we're talking about mammals, that's one thing, but when you're talking about reptiles, you have to look at the lowest temperature for that location, and they just don't do that.
Yeah, that is a vital part for sure. Now I'm interested to go look at that. I'm gonna have to look at that, but we got to get one of those the overlays so you can see the original map.
The original one. Yeah,
it was just madness. Again, it touched into Maryland. Burmese pythons living and becoming invasive in Maryland. Just craziness,
dude. Gosh, oh man, our buddy Tim at Intrepid Exotic said Florida berms are gonna have to evolve gills before long.
Great, they're gonna hybridize with lionfish.
Yeah. Oh God, it'd be Rob's favorite.
I think Rob's envisioning it right now. Rob's like, that would be the coolest thing ever. Me up.
I'm gonna get one figured out how to draw it and put it on a shirt, and I'll send it to you.
No.
Okay, maybe I read that look wrong.
Oh gosh.
I was just thinking that they're using basically anything that they can to stoke some fear in the media. I saw a recent thing that was like breeding anacondas in Florida. And they were like, if you read the article, they were like, we have not found any anacondas down here, but we think that they might be there. So we're going to do a survey. But the headline reads breeding anacondas in Florida. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
That is so much nonsense. And there's a dozen plus articles out about that now because it's sensational. But they found 8 green anacondas in the last 20 plus years. And now they're saying there's a population of them down there. And even worse, the one that was found the farthest from civilization, when they did an autopsy on it, it had a belly full of white rats. So it was either a plant by a biologist or obviously a recent escape or release because it had white rats in it. There's no population of domesticated white rats running around where it was found. So,
Right.
you know, for these articles to be claiming that there's invasive green anacondas now is just absolute nonsense.
Yeah, but it goes back to the Animal Planet syndrome of, oh, super snakes are going to be taking over with reticulated pythons breeding with Burmese and African rock pythons to make a super snake, because people hear giant super snake in their backyard and it grabs their attention and they're like, I'm terrified of snakes, and a super snake sounds even scarier than a regular snake, so I need to look at this. And with social media and the way that attention is money, there's not really that intellectual integrity to be honest about those sort of things, you know.
Dude, and those channels anymore. Go ahead, Jeremy. I got it.
No, okay. I was just gonna say, and all these people are freaking out when all they really need to do is just go look at New England Reptile. And those hybrids have probably already been made.
Bruh.
But yeah, Animal Planet. I remember watching Animal Planet and Discovery back in the day, and you know, I thought they were educational. And then I know there's a
documentaries.
There's a screenshot that USARK shared. You know, of all things, the show Naked and Afraid. You know, that's what Animal Planet is airing these days. And they had a screenshot on an episode that was talking about, I think it was 15-foot long boa constrictors. But to make it even worse, the picture that they had, and I have a screenshot of this, it was a cottonmouth, and it's labeled as a boa constrictor. I mean, seriously, Animal Planet. I mean,
there's no integrity there. There's no honesty there.
Dude.
And you'd think that the editors would at least try to get the same species of snake. Like, come on, like.
Yeah, and if it was something else, if it's whatever TMZ or whatever, I mean, who cares? But I mean, this is Animal Planet we're talking about. You can't even get, and it wasn't even close. You know, if they had a Burmese python or something, but they had a venomous cottonmouth labeled as a boa constrictor. Ugh, madness.
Dude.
And we see things like that, and it gets under my skin. But to the average person, they look at that and they go, "Oh man, look at that snake! That's definitely a snake right there." And they just
it's definitely a man eater. It's definitely poisonous.
Exactly.
You're gonna get that wrong. It's definitely going to chase you and attack you and eat you.
Yeah.
Just
all the things. It's going to do all the things.
It's going to hybridize with lionfish. Yep.
Yeah. But you know, I think that's another valid point is we're talking about all of this is the general population, like the normies, you know, that aren't out here keeping snakes or have anything to do with snakes. And, you know, they see anything like that. And it's horrible. It's absolutely terrible. I just saw a news article released from my hometown. I guess like a ball python was found in somebody's front yard or something. So obviously an escaped pet, but there's like over 130 something comments of people like, think what sane person would own a snake? Or, you know, of course the classic, the only good snake is a dead snake, and like all this stuff. So I tell people all the time, if your social media is literally only snake folks, and that's just what you think the world is, you know, snakes are wonderful, you are so screwed. Because that's not
as many of us as there are now, and like you said, we go to, you know, a reptile show, we see 10,000 people who think snakes are cool, but the studies show that over 60% of people say they're actually afraid of snakes or have a fear of snakes. So that's not counting the people who actually like hate them or loathe them. That's just people who are afraid of them. So yeah, we're by far the minority, and it's tough to educate people, unfortunately.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And that's, you know, again, why it's so important for us to make sure that we're on our P's and Q's when we post content, when we do stuff like that, because we're not getting help from mainstream media. That's for damn sure. Oh gosh. Well, speaking about educating people, Phil, I think it's time to play our favorite game. And that's busting some USARK myths.
All the myths.
So okay. Go ahead.
I was going to say, to kick it off, I heard a new one at Chambéry last weekend. Was it somebody spread the rumor that after USARK auctions on Saturday night, I go out and hit the strip club and spend the USARK auction money. So
Wow.
it's just crazy. I mean, think of me what you want, but I haven't been in one of those joints since well before I became USARK president. So I'm not unsure where they saw me spending this money, but no one can even say they saw me at one. So
Oh,
Man.
anyway,
That's
wow.
well,
I can't even.
that's-
that was a new one. But hey, it sounds good. It's sensational. Let's talk about it. Let's find a new way to bash USARK.
Sure. I mean,
Bro.
speaking of that, though, Phil, where's the money go? This is the one I always ask because it's the one that always gets brought up. Where the hell does the money go?
Where's the money go? Well, we post our 990s, which a lot of people don't know what that is, but that's an IRS form that we have to send to the IRS for as a nonprofit. And we actually go far and above what most nonprofits do. So all you have to do as a nonprofit is you have to supply up to the previous 5 years if someone requests it. But we actually have them posted right there on the website. So you can go there and look. So I'm the only full-time employee for USARK, so I get a salary. And I know I've even seen people post online like, why does this guy get paid? What does this guy do? He shouldn't get a salary. Well, I'm at 104 nights in a hotel already this year. So obviously I travel quite a bit, and I don't have time to do USARK and something else. It's not like I'm out baristaing at Starbucks and then I go to an auction at a reptile show and that's all I do. So, my salary is obviously it's a full-time job, and I'm the one who creates everything that you see released by USARK. So any comments that we send to legislators, except on a rare occasion where an attorney might write one, all the alerts, all the posting that stuff on social media, finding all of that information. That's generally me. Just about 6 months ago, I finally got somebody to start helping me with some of that stuff. But for the past almost 10 years, I was the only full-time employee for USARK doing all that stuff. So anything you saw written by USARK, again, that was me doing all that stuff. So on top of that, unfortunately, there is quite a bit of the budget that's, airfare and hotels and things like that, because obviously when I go to DC or to a reptile show or whatever it is, that gets paid for. Attorney fees obviously mount up.
Big.
So right now we're actually working on three state lawsuits and a federal lawsuit. So that adds up pretty quick. Consultant fees. Sometimes when we work on legal matters, we'll get a professional, maybe like a scientific consultant or something like that. And some of those people bill as high as attorneys. And I understand why people don't sue. I actually heard someone go into law school and, we hear these things like, if they ban this, it doesn't matter. And if they come and catch me, I'll just sue. But most people can't afford to hire an attorney. And the law student, I heard, he said a phrase, how much justice can you afford? And go shop around for attorneys. I mean, most of them, you'll need a $10,000 retainer up front just to get them to take your case, and maybe $15,000. And then a lot of them are, honestly, in 2023, $350 an hour. $350 an hour is cheap for an attorney. A lot of attorneys bill. I don't think we have an attorney right now billing us at less than $500 an hour. So anybody who thinks they're just going to go get an attorney and sue when something bad happens, I hope you have $50,000 lying around. I'm sorry. I'm probably talking way too much about where the money goes, but that's some of the places the money goes. Honestly, it's kind of a good thing. I want to say we spend maybe $30,000 or $40,000 a year now just on T-shirts, which you might say I'm not sending USARK money to buy shirts, but those shirts do generate money too.
Yes, advertisement.
So yes, we're spending some money on T-shirts, but that's generating money. We're not just throwing $40,000 out the window and handing out T-shirts left and right. So obviously, with your $40 membership, you're paying for a T-shirt instead of taking the $20 membership. And now we got shirts and hats for sale online, which Vanessa's doing all that stuff. That's not me. We've moved all that over. So, but yeah, the money goes a whole lot of places. And yeah, if you really want to look, just go look at our 990. None of the board members get paid. Actually, the board members contribute a heck of a lot of money to USARK every year. So both Todd Goodman from Timberline and Gary Bagnall from ZoomEd, both those guys are donating $100,000 plus every year. USARK, and they're on the board. So yeah, the board is not I've seen that too. That's one of the most bizarre things, talking about how ZoomEd and Timberline are profiting from USARK when they're giving us money. It's like people think we're getting these millions of dollars, and then we're laundering it and sending it to ZoomEd and Timberline. Those guys don't need USARK money. They laugh at USARK money. They're like, what is this?
Yeah. One of the complaints I heard was that they said that the way that it's listed is very vague. And I'm like, bro, are you serious right now? Are you just saying that you just want receipts for everything?
Yeah, I was going to say they want the itemized breakdown. Like, no, don't lump that up. I want to see the itemized breakdown that makes your tax agent lose their mind. Like, that's what I want to see.
Let me spend my time posting all of the itemized receipts instead of working on legislative matters. Let's do that. Some of it is kind of weird if you don't know what you're looking at. Computers, for example, that's one that like $5,000 every year goes to computers. It's not because I'm buying 2 brand new MacBooks every year. It's because computers is part of our website hosting service. So, if you got a website that has a lot of traffic, you have to pay more for service, the higher that is. So obviously that's part of that $5,000 or $6,000 that you see every year. One year we built a new website, so that got filed under computers. So obviously that was a big fee. I think our MailChimp service, which is how we send out our newsletters, that's a couple $100 every month because we passed a threshold. So all that stuff, that's what computers is. It's kind of like IT related stuff. It's not physical computers.
The physical computer.
And actually the laptop I had now actually got bought by Timberline. So USARK didn't even pay for that. So, it was actually donated to USARK, and none of that was paid for by USARK.
Bro.
Yeah, darn it. That's another thing. People see this stuff like, the way I saw that computers thing is because I saw that on social media. Somebody saying, why are they spending all this money buying computers? So rather than sending us an email and saying, what does this computers mean on your taxes? They just start, gossip that's totally untrue. So let's do that. That's way more fun than getting facts.
Yeah, and then people who are critical, they just hear, and then they just parrot the same thing, and then they add a little bit extra, and that's how it just like gets worse and worse and worse. And
I found an old screenshot of somebody who totally is anti-USARK from back in the day, saying that all USARK had to do was sue the Fish and Wildlife Service, and they would just roll over and let us have that Leisy Act win because they didn't have any money for a lawsuit. They said it wouldn't even cost us $100,000. Well, this person wasn't even 10% correct, but just to talk out of your ass like that, I mean, I don't understand why people do that. It's okay. I mean, I understand people like posting on social media and getting attention, but the number of people who just totally talk out of their ass and have no clue is almost enraging.
Yeah, I heard someone recently who was saying, when USARK made an Instagram, they said no DMs, so they're good enough to take our money, but they can't even talk to us. And I'm like, how about we have lots of different social media? The best way to communicate with USARK is through email, not through Instagram DMs that can be hidden by Meta or put into a separate folder where they might not be able to get to it right away. I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten that are 2 or 3 things deep of like, this is spam, but it wasn't spam. It was somebody just messaging me about something. How, like, just think about it for 1 second. Be intellectually honest with the people who you're talking to, and just think there might be a reason why they said, hey, don't DM us on this platform. Maybe there's a better way to get in contact with us. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Well, Phil is very tech savvy when it comes to social media. So, he has all the time in the world to just sit on Instagram. That's obvious.
Oh, yeah. So our Instagram I think there's 3 of us that kind of look at Instagram, but we don't even have comments. You can't even send messages on Instagram because it was too much. So sorry. We don't have a team of people who can run our social media and answer questions on there. But if we miss something, it's been a few days or a week, send us another message rather than complaining on social media.
That's the other thing.
Accidentally got deleted.
Yeah, social media is a full-time job. People have social media marketing managers to handle that. USARK is not doing that. Like,
let Rob point down. That's the guy. That's the guy.
Come on, like, use your deductive reasoning skills
Nah.
and think about it for a second. Like
that went the way with Common Core math, dude.
there's whole teams that handle this sort of stuff, and like maybe you don't have experience working with large platforms where you get lots and lots of people messaging you all the time or reaching out to you all the time. But like as Jeremy and I know from working at Nerd, I'd wake up in the morning and have 50 or 60 new messages just from overnight. Just from like I would be up at like 1 or 2 a.m., go to sleep and wake up at 10, 9 o'clock in the morning, and there's 50 new messages. Yeah. And if you don't answer all those messages, there's another 30 by the first thing that you post for the day. So like this is not just like a one person's getting ignored type of deal. This is like a on the order of magnitude different than what you get on your personal page, just talking to your friends or posting the things that you like on your Instagram.
Yeah, I think our Facebook is 130,000, I think. And I think our Instagram is up to 25,000, but we've only had it for a year and a half, I think. So
yeah, it's still like people just don't think about that sort of thing, I think, or they don't want to think about that sort of thing because it fits their narrative of how things go a little bit better. And I mean,
and unfortunately, shipping too. So we're fortunately Vanessa is doing a lot of administrative type stuff, and she's shipping out our shirts. It's a lot faster than it used to be, but sometimes we get nasty emails from people saying, they'll email us on Friday and say, I ordered my shirt on Monday. Where's my shirt? They're mad they're not getting overnight Amazon Prime shipments. Yeah. It's just like, come on.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And so the people who are like Phil, you're a very instrumental portion of USARK, but there are other people who are volunteering their time and donating their time in this time where like time is of the essence always, right? And right now people have more demands on their time than just about any other time in the past. I think about like the downtime that my parents had and my grandparents and the things that they were able to do and sit down and enjoy. And people today just do not have that luxury most of the time. There are plenty of people who do. I'm not one of those people. I don't know about you, but like there's not a whole lot of time where I get to just like lay down and just chill or like, sit down outside and just like stare at the trees, like we have so many demands on our time right now, all of us, that these people are donating their time, right? They're giving their very valuable time and energy into this organization because they're passionate about it, because they believe in it and they want it to work. And the fact that some people are like, this doesn't work like Amazon. Like I didn't get a response 5 minutes after I sent a message. Like, you guys have to understand that this is just, I don't want to say just, this is an amalgamation of people who care about this, who are donating their time, who are working really hard to make this happen for you, for me, for us, for the people who have a leopard gecko in their home who don't know anything about USARK. We're helping them too. Like this is not just for the people who are breeding things. This is not just for people who are working with ball pythons. This is not just for, the people who do educational programs. This is also for a kid who's gone out in their yard, found a snake or a turtle, and they think it's really cool and they're obsessed with them and they just want to learn more and they want to get a pet reptile for their home. This is for them too. Like a lot of people get this really inflated ego where they think that, it's just about me. It's just about my idea of what keeping is, of what we're doing right now. And like, once you sit back and view the bigger picture a little bit, and I think that, some people, it's no fault of their own. They don't have experience in the lane of education or in the lane of working in a store where they get to talk to kids who are interested in this sort of thing, or being a part of a herp society where you're getting people invested and getting to reach out to more people than just the people who you're talking to on Instagram or the people who are on your YouTube channel. Like, this is bigger than all of that. And the fact that Phil is working so hard for all these people who don't know who he is, like all these people in USARK are working really hard for kids who do not know you exist. And for those kids who are going to come up and get a pet reptile that they're passionate about, to end up doing field research or working in a zoo or doing all of these very important things that are all under this greater umbrella of reptiles in the United States. But people really just like get in their own head, I think, and invested in what they are doing, and they let that blind them to what's going on all around the country that doesn't involve them.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. Like, and it's just really frustrating to me because I've had a hand in a lot of these different areas, and so I've seen these kids who, oh, I watch Brian Barczyk, and so now I really just want a pet corn snake because I just really think the corn snakes are really cool. And they're not being like, I want 500 corn snakes. They're like, I just want a pet corn snake. And then you're gonna tell me that USARK is not doing its job to let these kids have their corn snake. Come on, man. Like, be honest. Be really, really honest with yourself and think, do you actually care about these other people, or do you really care about yourself? Is what it boils down to. That's what it boils down to for me. Because I when I was doing educational programs, it is not for me. Like, I love doing educational programs. I love getting to talk to these kids, but I think that getting to share the experience with these people who are curious or maybe afraid or maybe interested is fostering that growth and spreading that out. Because like you were saying, 60% of people are afraid of snakes. What are these people doing who hate USARK? What are they doing to change some of those minds? Like, for real, what are you doing to change minds? What are you doing to educate people? I want to know. Shoot me a message on Instagram at Rob is keeping it real. For real. Let's have a conversation if you are really about that life. Because
besides
there's a
bitching
lot of
on
people,
Facebook, what are you doing?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who have a
literally.
lot of big things to say, and if they actually have something to back it up, let's talk. Let's talk.
Yeah. And if we're gonna talk, let's be respectful and understand how people's time works. And
yeah, for real.
Gosh,
you brought up kids, I got to share a story from the Schaumburg auction. So NARBC Schaumburg was last weekend. A really awesome dude called Luke, who has a YouTube channel called Luke's Bugs. So really cool little dude. He got up on stage and gave a speech. And one of the lines in the speech was, "It takes a reptile community to raise a reptile kid." And everything else in the speech was super cool. But anyway, he donated. So he still does bugs, but he's moved on, and he actually captive hatched a Persina, a green keelback lizard. And he donated one of them. And I don't even think the kid's like 11 years old. I don't even know if he's 10 or 11 yet. He's still a pretty little dude. But anyway, we raised $12,900 off of that single lizard because people kept buying it and redonating it. I think at one time, so Todd from Timberline, I think he was the high bidder who redonated it, maybe $2,500.
Wow.
I think Morph Market bought it twice and redonated it. Cold Blooded Cafe paid like $2,100 and redonated it. So anyway, so that single auction item, we auctioned it off like 15 or 16 times. They just kept redonating it.
Damn.
It was $12,900 off of that one Persina because Luke got up there, gave his little speech. Everybody thought he was awesome. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's a formative moment for that kid, man. For the rest of his life, he's going to remember that. And if you're telling me that that's not going to inspire more people to get into things when they talk to that kid, because let me tell you, there's a couple kids who I've met through doing educational programs, and every person that comes in contact with that kid is going to learn something about reptiles. I'm telling you, they're just like me when I was that age. If they got 5 minutes to talk to you, they're going to talk to you about reptiles, and that spreads. That's infectious. It grows. And
to add on to that story, while we kept re-auctioning it, we kind of split it. I think Potter did most of it. I re-auctioned it a few times, but Todd Goodman had gotten a Nerf gun that I brought, like a serious, like it has a magazine that held 10 darts, so you could fire them off. And then it had a cluster. It shot 6 at a time. But anyway, Todd has this at one of the front tables, and he's beaming Potter in the head with these Nerf darts. So to stop that, Brian said, "Hey, Luke, come back on stage and stand right here." So Potter put poor Luke between the Nerf gun and himself so that Todd would stop shooting him with the Nerf darts.
Oh gosh.
So we got poor Luke, who I'm not sure he knew exactly why he was asked to come back on stage and stand there, but he was basically a body armor for Potter.
The Potter. Oh, Brian, why you got to do that to the kid, man?
I want to throw one more thing out there before. Sorry, Phil, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go.
I just I heard some more people talking some smack, and they were just saying, "Oh, I saw this thing that happened to the reptile community. Why hasn't USARK spoken on it right now?" I would just like to remind everyone that not everything deserves a response from everyone. You're more than entitled to talk on it. I encourage a lot of people to speak their mind when it comes to a lot of these things. You don't see the NFL talking about people who are playing football in their backyard. They just don't do that. A lot of these larger organizations who are dealing with things on a certain level don't always need to speak on every single thing that happens. I know that USARK has a great code of ethics and that they promote positive keeping and ethical keeping, and they care about animal welfare. And some people like to make big claims about USARK, and there are lots of ways to deal with negative things that happen, and boots to the pavement, talking to legislators, working with people to make sure that they have access to resources to proper keeping is important. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of people will spread some disingenuous information, trying to paint things in a sort of way when, if you take a closer look, you see that that's not exactly the case.
Yeah. And Jeremy will vouch for me. So there are a whole lot of things that I would like to say that don't come out of my mouth. So before you joined us, I was on a roll. Let's just say there was a little bit of less professionalism about the backstage, but a lot of people don't realize this about USARK. So we have to be really careful about what we say, because if USARK puts something out there that turns out to be not 100% factual, that opens us up to libel and slander and defamation of character lawsuits. And it's not just USARK. I mean, USARK doesn't have a ton of money, but we have 7 people who are on our board of directors, and a couple of them have pretty sizable incomes and really big businesses. And, that opens them up to things too. So if we had one little slip up in some type of public announcement, that opens us up to a lawsuit. And a lot of people, they think lawsuits work like the car accident attorneys, where an attorney takes your case and then they get paid after somebody wins. That's not how most lawsuits work. If someone can come up with a $5,000 retainer that may be as low as a retainer is, that may be enough to get an attorney to file a lawsuit. So, it doesn't take a lot of money necessarily to file a lawsuit, and then you got to deal with it. So, we really got to be careful about what we put out there and how we say things and how we word things, because we could get lawsuits slapped on us pretty easily.
Yeah, and there's certain types of people. I'll just say there's certain types of people who would be chomping at the bit to do certain, throw a lawsuit at USARK.
Yeah, absolutely. And somebody on social media calling somebody out, that's one thing. If you don't have a bunch of money, it's not going to do someone any good to sue you, because they're not going to get anything from it. But again, when we're talking about some major companies, not just in the reptile industry, but in the entire US, there could be a sizable settlement or payment that comes out of that. And I don't want to cause our board of directors any more headaches than they already have running their businesses.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That brings me to one more myth to bust. And that's, USARK, you guys just get all this corporate funding. That's the real deal, right? And you guys are just sitting on all this wonderful cushy cloud of corporate money, and you guys do all that stuff, right?
That is one of the silliest things, and that'd take me off somewhere else. But yeah, we do not get any real type of corporate funding. And plus, you got to realize the corporations we're talking about are privately owned businesses in the reptile world. We're not talking about Sony or Apple or Dell Computers. It's not these multi-billion-dollar businesses. We're talking about, I already said it, Zoom Ed and Timberline are our two biggest owners, and they're both giving us a little over $100,000 a year, which seems like a lot, but until COVID, which our funding actually went up quite a bit during COVID, but before that, Timberline and Zoom Ed were donating 40 to 50% of our funds. I mean, just those two companies were about half of what we were getting. So that tells you how much we were getting every year. We were usually somewhere around $400,000 to $450,000. It wasn't a lot of money. I know people hear about the auctions and stuff, but you got to remember, it takes a whole lot of $30,000 and $40,000 auctions to add up to $1 million, and we don't have that many. We have about 12 auctions a year that are over $20,000. So, but yeah, corporate funding isn't there. And then, like I said earlier, USARK is not laundering money and sending it to our board of directors. That's not the case. Oh, and yeah, so along those lines, I used to see this one all the time about how USARK only cares about like ball python people and the bread and butter stuff. And two things on that. One, obviously, we've done
Phil loves ball pythons.
We've done a whole lot for big snake people, because you wouldn't even be able to sell your snakes across state lines without us. We're working on lawsuits in 2 states that ban some big snakes, and whether the big snake people like it or not, ball python people have contributed at least tenfold what the big snake community has. So I know we got some awesome big snake guys out there. DNT Retix, he's a huge supporter. Dang it, I'm gonna forget his name. Sal Daddy in Illinois. He donates quite a bit, but yeah, USARK gets so much more money from ball python. I mean, it's not even on the same field. I mean, the ball python guys step up left and right. Whether it's a Bob Vu throwing down $5,000 or $6,000 at a USARK auction, or Mark Bailey giving us a $4,000 ball python to an auction. I mean, it's tens of, probably over the last 10 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars more than the big snake community has given us. And I'm not ripping on the big snake guys or anything like that. I'm just, again, explaining where USARK. Yeah, I'm stating a fact. It's not to rip on any industry. I'm just stating facts.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, that's right, Rob. I mean, look at the portions. How many ball python guys exist out there versus the big snake guys that are pulling that kind of income.
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sheesh. I just love, like, with how much farther above and beyond USARK goes when it comes to the financials and everything, that is still probably the number one myth, which is why I always bring it up whenever we have you on. It's like, where the hell's the money go? Because people literally just don't know. They don't get it. They don't want to go. Like, literally, I was on USARK's website today, and it's like, you click the drop down menu and there's a whole thing, USARK financials. Like, click it. It's right there. Everything you want to know is right there. Like, it really does blow me away. It really does blow me away. Freaking ridiculous.
Jeez.
Oh man. Okay, well, let's end this on a super happy note. Phil.
All right. Super happy time. We're gonna
super happy.
Dang it, who was that that sang Shiny Happy People?
Wait, what? Is that a name of a song?
Yeah, Shiny Happy People. Isn't that a song?
No.
Right.
It's a song in the 90s. You're gonna make me look at this now.
I am. I want to hear the song.
Knows that song?
I thought you were talking about the cult members from Bubble Boy. Bright and shiny.
It was an REM song. REM. Shiny.
Okay.
Now you're gonna have to go listen to it. It's gonna be your new favorite song.
Oh boy.
Anyway,
It'll
what
be-
are we doing?
I'll contact their publishing company and see if I can get it played whenever we have you
Yeah.
on the show. Oh gosh. Okay, Phil. So I'll hit you with the question that we ask everybody, and that is, what in the realm of reptiles has you excited about reptiles right now?
I mean, that story, I mean, I probably said this last time, and Rob kind of talked about it during his presentations. I mean, seeing kids so excited is pretty cool. We had Luke up on stage, and so before Schaumburg was actually the International Herp Symposium on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and there were a few kids there, and it was two sisters. One of them was only probably 6 or 7. The other one was maybe 11 or 12, but they like went to every talk. So 3 full days of talks. They were there the whole time. They were super awesome kids. Like the oldest girl, Vanessa, she was only 10 or 11. She introduced herself and shook my hand. I'm like, what 10 or 11-year-old kid, especially a little girl, is doing that kind of stuff? So it was just, it was cool to see, and to see the kids there. And another one who got one of the IHS Junior Grant Awards. He was a super cool kid. So, that's just cool to know that, I'm not going to be the end of the line. So hopefully we can, keep fighting off legislation so that Luke and Vanessa and her little sister Gia can keep doing this stuff. Cause, it's important. I know reptile people get a bad rap a lot, whatever, we're keeping ball pythons and we're making them all these colors, but even if you have an albino pet ball python, you're not going out and killing snakes. You're not going out and running over box turtles with your car. Your pet snake makes you a conservationist, whether you realize it or not, because that's something I talked about a couple months ago. There was Clemson, was it Clemson University? Anyway, there was a university student who did a study where he put little fake box turtles on the road and fake snakes. And documented cars swerving to run over turtles on the road. Reptile people are not out there running over and destroying endangered box turtles on the road. We're saving them whether we realize it or not. And, so my point being, if we can grow from 5% of American households having pet reptiles to 15 or 20%, that's going to help animals in the wild too. Because that's not where our pets are coming from. We're not going out and catching them anymore, like we had to 40 or 50 or 60 years ago. We're breeding them and selling those babies, so we don't have to take them from the wild as much. And anyway, there's my herpetoculture conservation rant.
That study too, they were taking them and they would put it in the road, and there was people who would swerve and hit it, but they would take it and put it past the white line, and people would swerve out of the road to hit the turtle. And I'm like, what kind of like monster does that? Like, for real?
Dude,
And the student who did, go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh no, I was gonna say I had so like probably right at the beginning of June we had like a huge burst of box turtles by me. Like I just started seeing them everywhere in the morning, which was huge. But it's like right down one of the main roads for me, there was one like right on the double yellow line, and of course, so I stopped to get him off the road, and this car that was like right behind me was like just blaring on the horn, like zoomed right around me and everything, and I'm like, dude, it's literally going to take me a minute to get this damn turtle off the road. Like, holy crap, man. Like, what the heck? And I think that I ended up coming across and moving like maybe half a dozen or so box turtles off the road. First thing in the morning, they're like, oh, this sunny spot right here. Let's sit there. And it's like, I love you, but you're incredibly dumb. Don't do this ever again.
Please don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that student who did that study before he did the actual in situ testing, he polled his class, it was a big class. I want to say it was about 150 students in the class, and a third of them raised their hand and said that either they had swerved to hit a turtle or they had been in a car that had swerved to hit a turtle. So think about that: 50 out of 150 people, or 1 in every 3, had actually experienced that. I mean, that's just crazy. Think how many. I mean, I think it's bad enough seeing them dead on the road, but how many of those were intentionally hit? I mean, it's crazy to think about.
That is
Yeah,
crazy.
that
There's
just
this someone
You
who
said this
does
is
a
going to be
similar
happy,
thing.
Jeremy. This is not
I know this shit.
Little
Somebody play the
Smash Turtles.
REM song.
I'm so happy.
Oh.
I'm gonna let's talk about little Smash Turtles on the road. Awesome.
Oh, God. It'll be the new Crotalis song that Kevin puts out. Little Smash
Oh,
Turtles.
sheesh.
So bad.
Broken
Oh,
hearts.
gosh.
Well, Phil, if people want to look up the latest alerts or see what's going on with the Leisy Act, where are they going to go?
Super easy. Just go to usark.org. Scroll down. We've got all of them there. I think the Leisy Act one is about. I think the FAQ, the frequently asked questions, is third. The alert is actually the fourth one down. I think I'm shooting a video tomorrow, so we'll have a new YouTube video out on Friday. But yeah, super easy to find the stuff. Just go to our website. You can sign up for the newsletter for free, so you make sure you get any updates straight to your email. And
yeah, I saw the Leisy Act one is usark.org/23Leisy, LACEY.
dang, he's got the URL and everything.
I got it. It was not complicated, so I think that
I try and make it easy when I make the tag. So yeah, 23 the year, followed by Leisy. There you go.
Leisy, there you go. Boom. And it's got all that information there. It shows the representatives right at the top. Please go look at it. If you're in one of those areas and that's one of your representatives, please reach out to them right now. Keep an eye on the alerts because we're probably going to have a need for nationwide people to reach out and speak up against this. This is big. It could be bigger and worse. So just please stay informed. Make sure you check out USARK on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. Check out the alerts. Rattlesnake Fridays.
That's Rattlesnake Fridays. Yes.
I love that. I look forward to that every week. So thank you so much, Phil, for coming on. Dude,
yeah, thank you as always, man.
Awesome. Thanks, fellas.
Hard to set aside time, but we appreciate you always making time to come on.
Hey, appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Take care, everybody.